So this is the starting of a vlog. So I started listening to, I thought I was listening to this book. Come to find out, I'm actually listening to the prologue, which is the beginning to this series. So they obviously put that in the audiobook where you listen to the beginning of the series and then you'll go into the actual novel. So I don't know when that is, but the prologue, between the prologue and this book, this is 20 hours long. This is 20 hours long, so I'm like, ooh, dang, it's gonna take me a while. So I don't know when it gets into this first chapter here, where with Rachel. So you have the characters of Rachel, Jake, Caleb, and there's this one other one called, I think it's Ilmari or something like that. Yeah, Ilmari. And they're all hockey players. I think Ilmari's a goalie. I'm assuming she's like a nurse because from the photo, it looks like she's a nurse or a doctor and she's got like a stethoscope. And the males, like he looks like a surfer, he's got a surfboard. And then you got Jake. And Jake he's obviously, in hockey, he's either like a defenseman or maybe he's what's the other ones? Like, I forget. I'm not really good with knowing all this stuff, but he, was obviously one of the players where the goalie is just, stationary, at the net. So I need to get through that one night first because it's like her and I think it's Jake. They meet at a bar and I just started the audiobook where it went from the introduction to like chapter 1. So obviously they're at a bar. I'm assuming they're probably going to hook up or something like that. But I think once I get through that one night one, once I get through that one, then I'll update a little bit more and say like how I liked it or if I didn't like it. Because I think it's supposed to be like 0.5 and then this is 1. And then you have book 2 and I think book 3. So when I get done with the prequel, then I will delve into this one. So yeah, I will update you all later. So far, I haven't gotten much into the first because I was confused because I thought I would just kind of like pay attention with, when it comes to the book too, like I would pay attention. And when I was looking at this, I'm like, well, this is not it. So I would say like, if anybody wants to listen to the audiobook, know that you're not delving into this first. You're delving into the prequel first. So you'd have to buy the prequel, which I thought was kind of weird. I'm like, if they did the audiobook that way, why didn't they go and put the book that way? Obviously they're selling the book that one night separately from this, which I had no idea. But anyways, I'm going to go and listen to that one. And once that one gets done, I'll update and say whether or not I liked it or not and go from there and then delve into this one here. So I'm really going to try not to do like too long of like, between cuts and stuff like that. I'm going to try not to do too long of like, updates and stuff like that. But I have a feeling this vlog may be over an hour. It may be over an hour because I may have a lot to say. So while I'm listening to it, I'm going to take notes and write down, all this different stuff, and go from there. And yeah, I will update you all. I'll update you all later when I get through that, that prequel. So So, I finished the novella. I'm gonna be nice and give it a 3. I'll just say that. So, Rachel is a sports doctor. Yeah, she's a sports doctor. And she's at this bar, like cocktail bar, whatever it is. I'm thinking it's a cocktail bar, something like that. She's in this like skimpy outfit, you know, has like these tattoos, like some like on her knuckles. And I'm like, and this woman's a sports doctor? I don't know. Like, have you seen too many like sports doctors with like a shit ton of tattoos and like tattoos on their knuckles and shit? Tattoos are still the type of thing that makes you unhireable. It really does. This is why I've never gotten like a shit ton of tattoos. Like, one, because I'm fucking fickle as shit. I'm afraid I'm not gonna like it, you know, in 2 years. But 2, there's a lot of companies that still don't want to hire you with tattoos that are exposed. You know, you have to hide that shit. So the fact that she's got a septum piercing and tattoos like on her knuckles. Really? Okay. So she's waiting at this cocktail bar for I don't know what reason. She was going to a wedding or went to a wedding. And this dude, who she calls Chad, you know, that I do consider the name Chad kind of a douchey name. No offense to anybody who's named Chad. No offense, dude. No offense. But it is kind of a douche name. Same with Tucker. You know, that's another douchey name. So this Chad guy keeps flirting with her, and she's like, you know, thinking to herself, oh, fuck off, dude. And so this guy comes along, and he's like, oh, hey, leave my sister alone, kind of thing, you know? And it's this dude, you know, named Jake. And of course, they don't know each other. They don't know each other's names. And they're like, oh, we're going to go and have a one-night stand kind of thing. So they go up to her motel room. And for a novella that was mainly about sex, that's basically what it was. This was sex. This was definitely hookup, you know, hookup and a spicy book. It's definitely more erotic in nature, you know, so if you're not looking for erotic, you wouldn't like this, you know. And also, like, I would say, like, this doesn't really fit my demographic, you know, for myself, like, in my 40s. Not really what I'm looking for in a book. This definitely fits those 20-year-old girls, you know, young ladies who it's all, like, no plot, all vibes kind of thing. And I'm just like, okay. Yeah, the sex scenes were cringy. Yeah, sex scenes were cringy. He worries about her being a puck bunny. But when they get to the point of, like, insertion, he has the tip, and he's like, oh, wait, I forgot a condom. You're a professional NHL player that has to worry about puck bunnies all the time and groupies. And you didn't bring any condoms with you? Like, you don't have any condoms at all. You know? Nothing? And she doesn't have any condoms. You know, like, she's a doctor. She's a doctor. But she don't have any condoms. But she's got an IUD. No, that's more... The IUD, that's more effective than the condom. The condom's, like, only this percentage, you know? And the other ones, I'm like, seriously? You're a fucking doctor. And you're like, oh, but I'm clean. And, oh, he should be clean, too. And I'm like... okay. So, So he goes and he, raw dogs it, and spooges in her. And I'm just thinking to myself, dude, you make $17 million a season. $17 million. Oh yeah, there's girls waiting for you to go and spooge your baby batter into their, into their vajayjay so they can have a paycheck for 18 fucking years. This is something that is implemented in their fucking heads since they're teenagers. Watch out for these puck bunnies because they will fucking ruin your life. But oh, it's okay because he trusts this girl. And I'm like, come on, man. You are stupid. There was that one dude, dumb basketball player, I think his name was like PJ Washington or something like that, spooged in like, oh God, what's that chick's name? I think her name was like Brittany something. I can't remember. Spooged in the chick, got her pregnant. And I'm like, you're a fucking moron. Do your dumb. And this bitch was fucking bragging about it online. And so I'm just like, oh God. I want to give it a 2, but I'm going to be nice and give it a 3. But I'm just like, man, this is like cringe. This is cringe. And I bought the book. I bought the book. So now I'm like, oh shit. I should have just read the novel. I should have just got through the novella. And that was it, But I was like, that fucking FOMO where I'm like, oh, let me check it out and see if it's any good. Because every time I go into Barnes & Noble, I don't really find much. It's either this, where it's like hookup culture, because this shit was recommended from fucking TikTok, or it's like women's fiction, And I'm like, God, can I have a simple romance? Like, just in the middle. I just want in the middle. Just in the middle. So... yeah, a lot of it was cringe. Like, no offense to the author, but it's like, this definitely is in that demographic of like women in their 20s and stuff like that who are interested in this type of like, 20 years ago, I might have been like, oh, I really like this book, 20 years ago, I may have, like my early 20s, I may have been like, oh, this book is like so hot, But I don't know. I've matured and grown as a romance author, and I know what I like and what I don't like, and I really want to have that, build up of the characters and stuff. And I just like, I don't know. There was someone who I was reading a couple of people's reviews of the book, Pucking Around, and they were like, they didn't like the heroine. I'm like, I could see why. She's a bit annoying because, first of all, her one thing was, oh, she's a Zodiac girl. And I'm like, oh, for fucking sake. She's a Zodiac girl. I'm like, look, I'm a Scorpio, but do I take it seriously? No, I fuck around with it. I think it's funny, I don't really care about zodiacs and like, oh, well, these zodiacs are compatible and these ones are not compatible. I don't believe that shit for a minute. I'm sorry. I just don't. I think it's bullshit. So she's all like, I'm a Zodiac girl. And I'm like, okay. And then she calls herself Dragon Rachel. I'm a Dragon Rachel in my cave. And I'm just like, girl, you're supposed to be a doctor. You actually went to school to become a doctor. That's not easy, right? It's fucking a lot of schooling. That's a lot of schooling. I thought about being a doctor at one time, and that's a lot of schooling. A lot of tests. It's so fucking like hard to get to maintain medical school because you're learning so much about the body and like all these like things that go with it. It's just, it's a lot. It's a lot. So the fact that I'm like, you graduated medical school? She just seems like way too like immature, like not smart enough to be a doctor. I don't know. Just that's what I kind of got from it, is not smart enough to be a doctor, like at least in here, and then like I said, there's that. And then she goes and says like, like, oh, I believe in signs. I believe in signs, like, oh, we're meant to kind of like hook up with each other. And I'm just like, okay. I'm walking home from dropping my daughters off at school, and I hear that, and I'm just like, I'm rolling my eyes. I was rolling my eyes so hard when she said that. I was just like, what the fuck, lady? Oh my God. But yeah, I'm just like, fuck. I'm like, what? Oh crap. Oh crap. What'd I get myself into? And that motherfucking book is like a goddamn Bible. So, from what I'm understanding, she's hooking up with this guy. She hooked up with Jake. But then I think she hooks up with these other guys. And it's like, I don't know. He seemed kind of possessive in the novella. And it's like, he's going to be accepting of her hooking up with these other dudes. Like, there's other guy named Caleb. And then there's the Jake dude who she hooked up with, in this novella. And then this other guy named Imari or something like that. It's like she's gonna be hooking up with that guy too. And I'm like, dang girl, you're like the town bicycle. I mean, and it's funny because she's all like, well, my family taught me, sex positive. Yeah, you could be, look, there's a difference between, there is a difference between like being like suppressing everything sexual and then being way too promiscuous. You don't want to be the town bicycle, okay? And that may sound like, there might be women out there like, oh, that's mean. And I'm like, there's dudes with the town bicycle, it's the same thing with guys. Don't be so overly promiscuous, because it's like, in the end, you're not helping yourself. You will regret those decisions when you get older, So for me, it's like, you can be sex positive and be in a monogamous relationship, And so for me, I'm like, she says she's sex positive, but it's all like, yeah, let's go hook up. Yeah. So, I mean, honestly, like, if I wanted to be honest, I would give the novella a 2. I would give it a 2 because it was mostly cringe. But I'll be nice on Goodreads and give it a 3. But yeah, there's my update for that. So now it's moving on to the book. So we will see what happens. I don't know. I don't know if I would want to do halfway through, because there'll probably be a lot I have to upkeep, because this book's fucking thick. So I guess, I'll do an update when I feel like doing an update. I don't know how many chapters I'll get into before I update again, but we'll see. But yeah, this one here, it may be a long vlog. I'll just warn you there. It may be a long vlog because it is a very thick book. So yeah, I'm just glad that it was available through audio so I can get through it a little bit quicker. So we'll go from there. Yeah. Anyways, I'll update you all later and see how far I've gotten in the other book. Okay, so I am about on chapter 20. Now, this is kind of like what I'm getting from like different characters. So, she ends up getting this job as a physical therapist to go and work with the Jacksonville, like Rays, whatever this Jacksonville Rays, which is like, I guess, a newer type hockey team. And if I sound a little congested, it's because I am. I had a little bit of a sore throat today. I don't think it's cold. I think it's definitely allergies. So she gets transferred to go work there as a physical therapist. And of course, she has like some issues when it comes to like the plane, losing her luggage, and her bag ends up ripping because she goes and she meets up with Caleb, and Caleb is like the assistant equipment manager for the team, like his friend Jake, who she slept with in the novella. They've been friends for years, but obviously, clearly, Caleb has a thing for Jake. I'm kind of getting that gist from listening to the book. So it's funny because when you first meet Caleb, you're like, okay, he seems like a straight dude, surfer guy, and all that stuff. Come to find out, he was playing hockey for like 7 seconds or whatever it was, and he ended up getting injured, and that injury pretty much took him out of professional hockey, which, yeah, they don't kind of like let you know that, like, there's a chance that you get really injured, and if you get really injured, you're done, you know, all this work that you did, and, you know, and then you get injured, you know, sucks. So he's, you know, now working with the Jacksonville Rays because his best friend is Jake. And like I said, the more you get into the book, you're like, okay, Caleb clearly has a thing for Jake. Like, they're best friends, but he clearly has a thing for him, because Caleb goes and mentions, which is funny because it's like, sometimes when somebody writes a book, sometimes like their sexuality kind of gets blurted out. Like, you know, like somebody will go and be like, I'm gay. And it's like, okay. And, you know, like, what does it matter to us that you're gay? You know, I don't care. So, I mean, the fact that it's like, it's kind of like blurted out, like he's thinking in his head, like, oh, well, I'm queer. And it's like, okay. And, you know, and then it's like, he kind of like almost is like hinting at the fact that he likes Jake. Like that if this, Rachel, who's this gorgeous chick, you know, like, oh my God, all these guys on the hockey team are just slobbering over this physical therapist, the new physical therapist. And I'm just like, it almost seems like there are some women out there that end up being like the town bicycle for some of these teams. Like, you see, like, some of these actresses, they slept with the whole fucking team. The whole team they slept with. They dated all around all of these hockey players until one finally, you know, settled with this chick for a while, you know? That's what it seems like. You know, it's like she's going to be the hockey bicycle, you know, where all of these dudes are like lusting after her. And I'm like, is that what it is with like some men? Does some men like sloppy seconds or thirds or fourths or fifths? Ew. I'm sorry, but that's just gross to me. And then they're like trading stories, you know, basically. They're like trading stories of like, you know, how he fucked her and how this one fucked her and all that stuff. And I'm just like, really? Okay. Yeah. I don't know. It doesn't make a girl feel special now, does it? It just makes you feel used. I don't know. That's just me. I think some women kind of treat it as like maybe it's a fucking trophy. Like it's a trophy to go and sleep with all these men on the same fucking team. I don't know. I don't see it that way for myself. I would think of myself as like, I'm being used as the receptacle for these men. Ew. Ew. It's just fucking nasty to me. I'm sorry. That's fucking gross. That's just fucking gross. So, anyways, there, you know, Rachel's like, oh, she's just so gorgeous, just so gorgeous. Which, I don't know, I almost think of it, if it's like, I almost think of it as wish fulfillment from the author. Like, does the author think, you know, if she was thinner and prettier? I don't know. I kind of want to say that, and I don't know. It may sound mean. But I kind of get that from some authors. Like, some authors, they will write where it almost seems like it's wish fulfillment. you know, for them, that they wish that they were thinner and prettier, you know, that they could get like all of these guys like slobbering all over them. And I mean, as a female, you get like how many men that kind of act stupid around you because they think you're good looking. Yeah, it's flattering. I mean, who wouldn't want to be flattered? You know, it's very flattering. But I personally don't want to be treated like I'm a piece of meat. You know, like I don't want to be treated as a sex object. I want somebody to like me because they like conversing with me. They like me for myself, you know, because sex is just one part of you, you know, and if that's all that you're looked at is that you're someone to be lusted after, and then as soon as you're not attractive anymore, they drop you like a hot potato. I don't know. You there has to be more than just sex when it comes to relationships. And that's what it seems like in this. It's just sex, you know? It's just sex and that's it. So the heroine who's like drooled after by all of these men, all the men have a, what's the thing again? It's like a group chat. Have all this group chat and they're like talking amongst themselves on how hot she is and blah, blah, blah and all this stuff. And I'm just like, so what else is to this chick besides her, you know, besides her, like, you know, sexual parts? I don't know. That's kind of like what I'm getting from this, is that it's like I don't see any connection. Like any, like mentally connected in some way, you know? It's just physical, you know? And that's what it seems like for all of these like books that are targeted to like young 20s. It's like, have sex with as many people as you can. Don't have any feelings. Just keep having sex, you know? And it is, I think that might be the garbage trucks. Either that or somebody is banging something. And it's driving me nuts. But it seems like a lot of people want to kind of push sexuality to young people. Of like, you know, oh, here, have sex with as many people, you know, like, and as I said, like, it kind of reminds me of wish fulfillment. Like, this author's like, she wishes she was skinnier and prettier. She also wishes that she had more sex with more dudes when she was younger, you know, and now that she's older, she can't have that sex anymore. You know, that's what I kind of get from this. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but that's, I think some authors are like that, where it's that wish fulfillment, you know? They wish that they were more attractive. They wish that they were thinner. They wish that they had more people who were lusting after them when they were younger and they were able to get in more sex and stuff like that, you know, things like that. That's kind of like what I'm getting from this. And to me, it's just, you learn as you get older, at least for me, having sex with like meaningless sex, because sex can have meaning. Meaningless sex just doesn't get anywhere. It doesn't get anywhere. You don't feel good as you get older. You know, there's like, I'd say how many dudes when I'm like, if I could have turned back time and not have slept with them, I definitely would have. You know, like if I was more of a, maybe I only slept with like one or two men, I'd rather have that now than, you know. And I haven't even, you know, slept with like a whole ton of dudes. Like there's other women who have slept with way more than what I've slept with. But even like the guys that I have slept with, as small the number is, there's definitely how many that I regret. And I'm like, I really wish I would have never met that person and never had that experience, because it just wasn't a great experience. You know, you know, maybe I had an experience for a second that was fun. And then the rest of it was just cheap and meaningless and just, it doesn't have any, you know, it didn't impact you for the better. You know, it impacted you as having those regrets, you know. And I've had like a few hookups. And those are the ones that felt the most cheap, the most meaningless. So with this here, with this heroine of like, she's looked at as more of like a sex object between these men. And she's going and she's going and, you know, she doesn't look, I'll just say, like, to me, she doesn't look professional in her job. You know, like, oh, she's, you know, she studied sports medicine, which, correct me if I'm wrong, but don't you have to go to school longer for sports medicine? She's 27. So say you go to college at 18. You're in like medical school for at least like what, 7 fucking years at least? Then you go to a specialty. That specialty is going to take you even longer to get your degree because you're specialized in sports medicine. You have to take extra stuff for sports medicine. You know? So I would assume that she'd be older at this time and not 27. Like, did she graduate high school at like 16, like early? She doesn't come off as very intelligent to me, you know? She comes off as very stupid and chaotic and like what other women said, like, which I don't like to use this term, is a pick-me. I don't like to use that term because it's been used against me and I just don't like it. I don't personally like the term, but I understand the definition of it, you know? And it almost seems like that to me is this chick. She's the pick-me, you know, of like, let me please all of these men, you know? I don't know. It's you know, it's weird. It just seems like a very shallow type of book where it's all the focus is on the sex, which hasn't happened yet so far. We've so far had it to where she's lusted after Caleb, after she sees him, you know, lusted after him, even though she kept thinking about Jake, you know, and then she goes and she has phone sex with Jake, and then the other dude who's the goalie in here, he's lusting after her because all the guys on the team are gonna lust after her, you know, and that's pretty much as far as we've gotten with this. It's like she's doing her job, she's working, she's talking with Jake even after she told him like, oh well, we can't see each other because I'm the doctor on the team, I'm the physical therapist, you know, I have to be a professional, even though, bitch, you ain't professional. I'm sorry, you're not professional. So yeah, I'm gonna keep listening, of course, because I want to get through this fucking book. But yeah, it's very shallow. And I could see, like, you know, how this would appeal to 20-somethings, because I do think 20-somethings, no offense, I think 20-somethings are very shallow people. And, you know, like when I was in my 20s, I definitely probably was more shallow, for sure. I definitely was more shallow than I am now. But I've pretty much kept the same type of personality, you know? Like, I've you know, pretty much have done kind of the same thing for years. I'm very much a stick in the mud. Even when I was a teenager, I was a stick in the mud. I didn't really do stuff like that. You know, I didn't do a bunch of drinking and smoking and all this other stuff because I'm like, well, it's going to fuck you up. It's going to make you feel bad, you know? You're going to age more horribly, you know? So people called me like, you know, a square or lame or whatever it is because I didn't want to go out and go and do all this stuff. You know, same thing with like, I didn't want to go and sleep with like 100 fucking dudes, you know? I wanted to meet a nice guy who treated me good. It took like how many different guys for me to find someone that I felt like I could be with for the rest of my life, you know? At one time, I just didn't think I was going to ever get married, you know? And it's not until, you know, in my 40s that I got married, so... You know, I never thought I would get married one day because I was like, I'm not finding, you know, a person that I could say that I could stand to be around, like, you know, for the rest of my life, you know. Everyone else, I just was like, I don't want to be around this person for any length of time because I don't particularly like them. You know, the more times you're around this person, the more you just dislike them. You know, I want to be like, the more I'm around somebody, the more I like them, the more I enjoy their time, you know, of being with them. And I'm very much like a stick in the mud. So, this chick I can't identify with, because you can lust after another guy. Like, it's not like you can't lust after multiple men. I can go and look at the guy and like, oh, he's really good looking, but that's it. Like, I don't put him in my fantasy files. I don't go and be like, let me lust after this dude, even though I'm technically kind of with this guy, you know. I can go and look at like this guy, yeah, he's good looking, you know, he's a good looking dude. But you have to go with like who you like emotionally and mentally, you know, who you vibe with, you know. And just because you think someone's attractive doesn't mean you vibe with them, you know. Like, plenty of people could think I'm attractive and not vibe with me, you know. Like, once they like talk with me, they're like, I don't like this person's personality, but you know, they could still look at me and like, oh, this person's attractive, you know. But for me, I don't know how I'm feeling with this one here. She definitely, like, I can understand the women who are saying like she's a pick-me. I can understand the people who don't like her because she's like a chaotic mess one minute, and then the next minute she's like, you know, she kind of has this attitude of like, oh, leave me alone, let me do my own thing, I can do this on my own. And I'm like, clearly you need help, bitch, because you're a fucking chaotic mess. But then you go and say like, I could do this on my own. I'm like, okay. You know, it's because she has this like whole thing of like, she grew up with a rock star family, so she's always had money, you know. She's always had money, and so she wants to kind of make it on her own. I get it, you know, I get she wants to make it on her own. But, you know, she also was very sheltered. So it's like, it takes time for you to learn some things, you know. It takes time for you to learn some things and to grow into your own person, you know, without having your family, you know, constantly with you to guide you, you know. So it takes a while. So it's like, don't be having like that attitude of like, I could do it my own, kind of like, leave me alone. It's like, okay, bitch, you know. I don't know. That's kind of like what I'm getting from this. And obviously she's going to get more and more like into these dudes, and I'm kind of like skimming, and like toward the end it looks very much like they're doing an orgy, and I'm just like, oh fucking Christ. So yeah, so I would say like this one here, I'm just like, I actually put it on 1.5 speed because I'm like, I'm really trying to like get through the book. Because I'm already like, yeah, I'm not really caring for this, you know, and I'm really trying not to DNF it. I'm just trying to just get through it, because it is a big ass book, and I did buy it, and now I'm like, I'm regretting buying it. See, this is why I don't buy a lot of books at Barnes & Noble or Target or Walmart anymore, because it's either stuff like this, where it's targeted to like early 20s, you know, people in their early 20s who are like not serious, you know, and they like don't mind all the hookup culture type of stuff. This appeals to them, you know. This is like the fantasy of having multiple guys at once, and I'm just like, I don't want to be treated as a series of holes. I don't know. That's just me. That's me. I don't want that to be my value, that I'm just a series of holes. Yeah. Nah. It doesn't make you feel good. So yeah. I am going to push through and continue to listen to this and go from there. And when I have another update, I'd say when I get about, halfway through the book. Yeah. Let me see. What page? 55. Yeah. because these chapters are short. These are short chapters. Some of them are like 1 or 2 pages, you know. Like this one here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like just 7 pages, you know, 7 pages in that chapter for like Rachel. So when I get about chapter 55, I will update a little bit more and go from there. Yeah, we'll go from there and see if this gets any better or if it just drastically gets worse. We shall see. I know there are some other people who had said, oh boy, good luck with that. You know, I was like, yeah. Okay, yeah. I will update you all later. Yeah, I'm calling it quits. I've got up to about chapter 36 in this book. I can't take it anymore. This is like torture for me. It's so they're at some kind of club. She's dressed up in the same fucking outfit she was wearing before. And Jake sees her, and so they're like, you know, starting to dance and everything, and then she goes and sees that Caleb is talking to some chick, and he obviously is uncomfortable, so she sidles up to him and like sits in his lap and acts like she's Caleb's girlfriend, and I'm just like, I could see why people call her a pick-me. It's such pick-me energy that you have to sit down in a dude's lap and act like that you're dating him when he's a grown-ass fucking man and he can go and handle the own woman he was fucking sleeping with, okay? You don't have to defend him like he's a little fucking puppy. Oh my God, that was fucking annoying. Oh my God. This bitch, I can't stand her. I fucking cannot stand her. So, after that, they proceed to start making out with each other, all 3 of them, and go to like this janitor's closet, and Jake's behind her, and she's sucking the other one, and I'm just like, it's so annoying. It's so annoying to me. And so it got to the point where she's like telling them like, oh, well, because I lived like a rock star, I was constantly followed around by the paparazzi and blah, 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 and all this other stuff. And I'm just like, oh, tears. I have tears. You know, I'm just like, oh, pity for you. You're fucking related to a rock star. You know, come on. And then like, oh, well, her twin brother almost like offed himself because of all the pressure. And I'm just like, okay, yeah. It's so annoying to me. And then they're like, yeah, well, why don't you move in with Jake? Like, that's going to make things fucking any better. And I just got to the point where I'm like, you know what? I'm fucking done. I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I can't. I'm like, I'm torturing myself. I put the audiobook like on 2 times speed because it was so fucking boring to me. This here needed an editor that was not the author's friend, because I would have taken out at least 300 pages of this fucking book. At least 300 pages. It's way too long for this fucking shit. Way too long. I would have taken a hacksaw to this fucking book. I honestly would have. There's no reason this should be fucking as long as it is. Yeah, I can't. I can't do it. I'm not going to torture myself anymore. This is not good. This is not good. And the fact that this got fucking popular on TikTok shows so many people on TikTok don't know what good writing is. They only know all vibes, no plot, just sex. You know, it's like, it's just, You know, and I'm not blaming the whole of Book Talk for this. This is romance book talk. This is romance book talk. Stop fucking hyping this shit up. You know, stop hyping up garbage. No offense to the author. This could have been really edited down to where it could have been an actually decent book. But it's so much fucking unnecessary shit in here. So much unnecessary shit that I'm just like, it's like goddamn torture. So I was like, nope, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. Cannot fucking do it. I want to chuck this in the trash, honestly. But I'm going to go and sell it. Get some of my money's worth at least. So I decided to check out the other one I ended up buying. So I'm going to delve into this one here, Pucking Wild, because at least it's like one chick and one dude. So she's plus size girl. You know, she's plus size. But she's very confident with her body, so good for her, you know. She's confident in her body. But I hate that the fact that this audiobook has an introduction. It gives you like 2 extra chapters in this book. Why weren't they in the fucking book? I don't understand that. Why go and release this shit and you don't have the same shit that the audio has? I don't get it, you know. So it has like 2 extra chapters in it where Tess and Ryan, that's what his name is, right? Ryan? Yeah, Ryan. Ryan was the first one. And he was in the first book. And he seemed like a decent fellow. So, yeah, I'm going to go and get through this and see if I can, you know, get into this one. But it just shows that just because this got like traditionally published doesn't mean it's any good, you know. It's so funny because traditionally publishing used to mean something back in the day, like you were traditionally published. Now it's a fucking joke. It really is. Being traditionally published is a fucking joke. It all depends on trending. That's how bad the publication company has gotten now, where they're going based on what's fucking trending. Just because it's trending doesn't mean it's any good. There's plenty of books out there from authors that are not trending that are going to be a hell of a lot better than this, you know? So I'm going to delve into this, hope that it's fairly decent, you know? Fairly decent. Otherwise, I have no fucking respect for traditional publishing anymore. No respect for traditional publishing. If you can go and have this shit printed out and it's fucking trash, no respect for it anymore. They've gone out the fucking window, you know? So it just shows that why I don't normally pick up stuff like, you know, traditionally published books anymore, because it's either fucking sterilized to the point of like, you know, sanitation, or it's fucking trash, you know? There is no middle ground. So, no offense to Emily Rath. No offense to you, girl, but this is not, that book was not good. That book was not good. So I'm going to delve into this and hope that I could at least give this a 3-star. Hopefully more. But I'm really not holding up any hope. Not with that first one. I could not. I'm not gonna torture myself with that fucking book. I'm not gonna torture myself because it was not good. Not good. So yeah, I just basically just put on my DNF shelf. I'm like, I'm done. I can't. And you know, I'm just gonna go and get rid of it and just get some of my money back, you know. I'm just gonna go and sell it and go from there. Someone else can treasure it if they want, you know, but not me. Yeah, I was sitting there starting to fall asleep because I'm like, this shit's boring. And then it gets to the point where there's sex, and I'm just like, oh, it's like cringe sex scenes, just super cringe. And like I said, I can kind of go with the assessment that Rachel's a pick-me. And I don't like to use that term. but she definitely is. You know, she's like every woman's, you know, every man's fantasy of a girl that they want. And I'm just like, are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me, author? Are you fucking kidding me? I got a headache now. I have a headache. You know, it's just like, oh my God. Oh my God. But yeah, I'm gonna delve into Pucking Wild, and hopefully this author can redeem herself with this. Otherwise, no more. No more from that author. But yeah, I'll update you all later to see how far I've gone. So, yeah. Okay, so I'm about halfway through the book. This one is better. I will just say that. It is better. I'll say I like Tess better, but she does things that, little irritations. You know, little irritations that I'm not a big fan. But, you know, I'm kind of like overlooking it. I like the character of Ryan. He's a sweetheart. So Tess has been married to her husband for how many years, but he's, you know, obviously not a good dude. He's cheated on her multiple times, and he tries to make it look like a great marriage, but he, you know, he's just not a really good person, you know? And so, you know, they kind of have been separated for a few years. She's bisexual, so she's been kind of like fooling around with women. Well, one night when her and, you know, she's at a wedding, her and Ryan get photographed by somebody, and her husband gets all mad, like, you know, pissed off. And she's like, well, why are you pissed off? You know, we haven't been together for a few years. You know, I've been with women. And it's like, oh, it's because it's a man. That's why, you know, that's why you're jealous. And so he went and he put his hands around her throat. He's a piece of shit. So she manages to get away. He kind of like basically like threatens her and says like, oh, well, I'll take your career if, you know, we get divorced and things like that. And just a real piece of shit. And so she gets away and she goes to Florida to be with Rachel. And I really don't care for, like, you know, Rachel and all the rest of them in there, because it's like at the end of, like, or I guess at the beginning of this book, Rachel and, what's his name there, Caleb and Jake and Ilmari or whatever it is. I guess Ilmari's Finnish, not Russian. So they all get married. But of course, you know, in the state of California, you don't have, like, you can't have, what's the one? You can't have, like, polyamorous marriages and stuff like that, you know, like with multiple people. So, as liberal as California is, they still don't have that. I'll just say that. So Rachel marries Ilmari, and then Caleb and Jake marry each other. So it's, you know, gay marriage. And so I'm like, okay, don't really care because I didn't like the book, you know. So they get married, and, you know, she was at the wedding, and so she likes, she thinks Ryan's cute. You know, he's younger than her. He's like 10 years younger. I think he's a little too, like, young for her. I will say that. She's 32. He's 22. I think he's a little too young for her. Personally, I think he's a little too young for her. I think it would have been better if maybe he was like in his 30s and her in her 40s, you know, or something like that. I think I'd prefer that more than him being 22. He's a baby, you know. So she very much, like, knows stuff in the bedroom, and he, like, obviously knows stuff in the bedroom too, but, you know, he allows her to, like, be a little more dominant. So she goes to Florida, and Rachel's like, well, I'll let you stay at Imari's house because, he's not staying there. He's staying with them, and they're doing all their sucky, whatever, in their relationship. And so she decides to go stay there at Imari's house, and then Ryan gets injured at playing hockey. He ends up spraining his knee. Luckily, he didn't damage anything, too severely. So he, needs some place to kind of crash for a little bit. And so he ends up catching her, he ends up seeing her, naked several times. This bitch always gets naked. And I'm like, girl, keep getting fucking naked, It's like, how many times is this guy gonna see you naked? So they, decide to stay together, live together, for a little while. And, they're friends, but they start to, their relationship develops, and they start, fooling around. Well, her husband's a real fucking prick, and basically doesn't want to sign the divorce papers, calls her a whore and all this other shit, just being a total dick. And her mother-in-law is a fucking enabler, allows her son to basically get away with shit. And I'm like, oh, that bitch needs to lose her fucking business, honestly. I'm that type of person where I'm like, okay, bitch, you go and you don't allow you're allowing your son to treat me like shit, I'm gonna burn your whole fucking business down. I would fucking destroy that business. I would destroy that bitch's reputation. You're gonna allow your son to treat me that way? Oh, you're fucking going down too, bitch. That's the way I would be, So she basically told her, look, if you don't have him sign the divorce papers, I will fucking ruin your whole business. And I'm like, get him, girl. Get him. Fucking put your foot down. Stop being a fucking pussy. And burn that motherfucker. So, that's kind of where I'm at right now. Her and Ryan are, he obviously, he's obviously in love with her, But like I said, I do feel like she's a little bit too old for him. 30s, you pretty much know who you are in your 30s. I think 22, you're still kind of knowing yourself, still kind of getting to know yourself and knowing what you like, what you want, and things like that, a little more time. Maybe if he was 30 when she's 32, maybe even better, but whatever. It's what Emily Rath decided to do, just give the age gap to where she's 10 years older than him. He's just kind of gotten his foot in the hockey game and stuff like that, spent how many years struggling. I guess, he lost his father, and so it's basically been him, his mom, and his sister. And his sister but very much is constantly bugs him for money and stuff like that, and does stupid shit. So I'm like, yeah, she's clearly a little bit immature, and so he's kind of doing whatever he can, but he's a little, what she calls him a puppy. And I'm like, he is a puppy though. He is a puppy. He's sweet, but he's so young, and it's I feel like she's kind of taking advantage of him. It's bitch, you're in your 30s, he's 22. He's he barely legal, And I think I don't know, I feel like she's taking advantage of him, even though she's I don't want to take advantage of you. And it's yeah, you are taking advantage of him. You should have never got involved with him. He's young. So I kind of feel there's a little bit of a power imbalance. She's got a little bit more going for her than, and him. He's obviously, professional hockey player. But, I just don't kind of believe the relationship, especially because he's so young. And then it looks like I kind of went ahead, and it looks like they might get more serious, but I'm anyways, I do like this more. I do like this better. But this had another one where it had an introduction where there was 2 chapters that weren't even in this book. And I'm like, why the fuck is the audiobook that way? Why do they have the audiobook where there's 2 introductory chapters in it, but this one doesn't have it? Stupid. I don't get it. So I'm glad this one is not as fucking long. It's still like almost 500 pages. You're talking like it's 476 pages? Yeah. 476 pages. So this is more of a proper length, you know. It could be a little bit trimmed down, I'll just say that. Like, there are parts of the book that feel a little bit boring to me. Like, she could have trimmed down a little bit more in this book. But I do think it is a better book, honestly. I do think it's a better book. Like I said, anything when it comes to, like, polyamory, you know, where it's like she's with 3 fucking dudes. Rachel's with 3 fucking guys. I think I'm okay with, like, more of, like, 2 guys in the chick. I think I can be a little bit more of, like, more of that. But when it's, like, 3 dudes, it's like, okay, bitch, now you're being fucking greedy, you know? Now you're being fucking greedy with the amount of fucking dick you're getting. I mean, honestly. So, that's kind of like where I'm at right now. And, you know, I like it so far, you know. I don't know if I'll give it a 4 or 5. Right now it's okay. Maybe like I'd give it a 3.5. But I don't know. I still have to let it, you know, go the rest of the way. Things could shift. Sometimes tones shift so much to where I'm like, oh man, fuck this book. But we'll see. Right now I'm like, I'm, you know, I'm enjoying myself. You know, I like it. But yeah, there's things that Tess does that kind of annoy me. Like, because she was like, oh, well, Rachel's so great. And I'm like, oh, come on. You know, everybody goes and like, oh, Rachel, she's the fucking angel. And I'm like, seriously? This bitch is not fucking perfect. She's not perfect. And the fact that everybody is obsessed with Rachel. And I'm like, seriously? This fucking bitch, she don't have beer-flavored nipples. I mean, come on. Her fucking pussy's not made of gold. I'm like, stop with the fucking worshipping of this bitch. You know? So, I just, ugh. Even Tess is like, you know, worships her. And I'm like, bitch, stop. You don't have to worship this woman. She's a woman. You don't have to worship her. You know? She has fucking flaws, too. Jesus. It's like, find someone else you can go, you know, idol. I hate when people, like, you know, false idols and shit, you know? They go and, you know, you have people who idolize, like, celebrities or different people, and I'm like, fuck those people. They're normal, everyday people. Stop idolizing these fucking people. There's nothing special about them, you know? Idolize yourself. Worship yourself. Focus on yourself, you know? So yeah, that's it. That's all I've got right now. So I'll update later when I'm done with the book. And then that'll be it for this vlog. I just, you know, I don't want to keep going after this. Like, I think I don't want to read any more from Emily Rath. I'm good. I don't want to read any more from her. You know, I've done the 3 books. The third, you know, this book here, you know, didn't care for the prequel novella. You know, DNF the first book. This second book is better. It is a bit better. But it's not perfect. There's things I just, you know, I'm not happy with, you know? But yeah, I don't think I'll read any more from her. Especially because I'm like, I still think the sex scenes are still a little bit cringy, you know? Like, they're not, like, I don't know, sensual or, you know, make you feel. They're the type where it's like, if she gets, like, if Tess gets like a little bit too dirty, I'm like, girl, I'm going to be skipping over all your sex scenes. Because, you know, some of it's a little too much, you know, I'll just say that, you know, and I sound like a fucking prude, but I'm like, I don't know, it's just, some sex scenes you read, it's like fucking cringe, you're like, you don't know what it is about the sex scene, but you're like, this is not hot for me, I'm not enjoying myself. So yeah, I will update later with, the conclusion to that one, and then that will be it. and I don't think I don't think I'm going to be buying anything from Barnes & Noble for a very long time. I think the only things that I will buy from there is there's a book that came out recently that is another Ruby Dixon, another one of her special editions. I'll pick one of those up. And that newest Bryn Weaver book, the second book to that other series I was reading, I'll pick that one up. But anything where I'm like, if I don't know the author, I'm not picking it up. I don't trust it, you know? I do not trust it. So, yeah, I'll update you all later. Okay, so I finished this. I will say, like, the more the chapters progressed in this book, the more I kind of disliked Tess. You know, like, I thought she was okay. But the one thing she kept doing is, like, the one thing that kind of annoyed me about this was whenever there is a, whenever there's, like, when it comes to, like, age gap, like I said, I felt like he was a bit too young. He's 22. He still has a long ways to go in his life to settle down. I think anybody who's young and they settle down like too quickly, I think a lot of times they could regret it, you know? Some people are okay with settling down at a very young age, and 20 years later they're still going strong. I mean, there are some cases, but those are the exception, not the rule. The rule is, like, most people, if they settle down too young, they end up regretting it. But it is their decision to make. You know, like, people will talk about how Millie Bobby Brown, she got young, you know, she's gotten married at what, like 20? She's now 20, 21, and she got married, and it's like, that was her choice to choose, though. You know, that was her choice. Yeah, she's really young. So isn't her husband. They're very young. But that's, you know, that's their choice. I'm not going to go and say, oh, they're going to not work out, because most marriages don't work out. You can get married even in your 30s and 40s and the marriage won't work out. So, I mean, to me, it's like, no matter what age you get married, you have to work at the marriage. That's the whole point. You have to work at this marriage. So, for him, I felt like he's too young. You know, he's too young. He just got things going for himself. And Tessa's drama and her fucking husband. Oh my God, that guy was a fucking prick. And it's like, you're going to go and ruin this woman's life because the marriage didn't work out? Because you fucking cheated multiple fucking times? You know, multiple fucking times. And tried to, like, blackmail basically her and Ryan. And was doing some stupid shit. And I'm like, motherfucker, you could just be with another woman. Why do you want to go and make this woman's life miserable because you're a miserable piece of shit? And his mother was a fucking piece of shit too. And it's like, no, burn that fucking business to the motherfucking ground. That's how you get those people. You fucking get them through their business. You know, that's what's more precious to them, is their company. Burn that fucking company down. Now, don't mean literally, but, you know, you get it to where it affects them monetarily. Whew, you know? So that was going on through the rest of the book, was basically just her dealing with her stupid dipshit ex, Troy, and his shit. And I will say, like, I loved Ryan. He was such a sweetheart. He was so sweet. I really enjoyed him. But for her, the more the chapters went along, I was like, I don't like her. I don't like her. I think she's too old for him. She's too mature for him. And then, like, during the sex, she kept saying, oh, puppy, you know, like, really condescending. I mean, honestly condescending to me. That's kind of like what I got from it. The more she was having sex with him and they were doing stuff, you know, and, you know, other type of play and things like that, the more I'm like, you're a condescending bitch. I'm like, you're treating him like he's a fucking baby. He's 22. If he's man enough to give you an orgasm and for you to fuck him, then he's man enough for you to treat him with respect, not treat him like a goddamn baby. Stop infantilizing him. Yeah, it's just it's fucking creepy. It's creepy. It's, you know, it just shows her fucking immaturity as a heroine. So yeah, I really disliked her treatment of him. And I think he deserved better, honestly. And then also, like, it's just, I don't know. I find it really disgusting. And again, you know, I'm older. So to me, I'm like, I've never found, like, just the whole promiscuity of these people. And they end up, like, they're at this Halloween party, and I just kind of was like rolling my eyes, where they go into this one room and two of the hockey players are doing it to, they're like, I don't know, it's like manager or something like that when it came to, like, I think it was social media or something like that. And I'm just like, really? More people? Like, oh God. I'm like, it seems like the older I get, the more disgusted I get with, like, when it comes to, like, promiscuous, you know, promiscuity and, like, having sex with all kinds of people. It just, the more it disgusts me the older I get. Like, you know, when you're younger, it's like, you know, yeah, it's kind of like a turn on and everything like that. But as you get older, it's like, can't you people just keep your parts to yourself? I don't know. It just felt really gross to me as I was reading it in here. There's, like, you know, there's different ways that you can explore sexuality and, you know, like kinks and fetishes and things like that without it feeling gross, you know? Where here it just felt really cringy and gross to me. It just, ugh. And I think that's what it is with, like, that I don't like about new adult. Like, a lot of new adult pretty much has that now, where it lacks substance for me. Like, I want the sex to have meaning. Like, if it's gonna be sex in there, I want it to have meaning to it. You know, have feeling to it. Where some of these books, like, that I'm picking up with these, like, younger people, it just seems all so meaningless, so empty. It's such an empty existence. That's what I kind of feel like when I feel this. And, you know, with this White Shoes, I'm not a huge fan of White Shoes. It has to be done right, in my opinion. Like, I've read some Catherine Moon that, you know, where she's had, you know, multiple partners with the heroines, you know, for White Shoes, and it worked. It worked for, like, the Lady of Rooksgrave Manor. It worked for there. It worked for the one I just recently read was Good Deeds. I really like that one too. This one here just doesn't work for me. You know, like, when it comes to, like, this author's writing for White Shoes, like, this one here obviously wasn't a White Shoes. It was between, you know, just Ryan and Tess. But yeah, I felt like she infantilized him, treated him like a fucking baby. And, you know, he's 22, so, I mean, he's going to do some immature things, you know. He's going to do some immature things because he's 22. He's only lived, you know, a shorter life, where she was fucking married for, like, 10 years. She was married for 10 years, so, I mean, she's had experience, you know. You have experiences with getting married and different things like that. And then at the end of the book, it's like they're getting married, and I'm like, I mean, it was sweet, but I also felt like he's too young. He's too young to settle down and get married. You know, this woman's gonna jade him. He's gonna become a jaded male because of her. You know, like, I feel like she is taking advantage of him. Because there are people out there are guys out there who, they become very jaded with women, and it's because women have done that to them. You know, men don't become jaded automatically with women. Women have to do that to a man to make him jaded. A lot of times men who are playboys, why are they playboys? Because a woman broke his heart. That's why those guys fuck around. You know, they fuck around because either high school or college, whatever it is, whatever their experience is, someone hurt them in the past, you know, more than likely a female, you know, and so they end up becoming very jaded and, you know, the feelings, they lack feelings because they don't want that feeling again. You know, they felt that feeling before and they don't want to feel it again. Men are very sensitive. Like, men are more sensitive than you think. You know, like, they put up a tough exterior, but they're very sensitive. Like, when you go and you kind of like open them up, open their shell up, kind of get inside, they're very sensitive. And they're just very simple creatures, very simple men. Most men are very simple when it comes to things. They don't like over complex relationships and stuff like that. They don't like that over complexity. You know, most men are just very simple. And if you go and you feed them, you know, show them your boobies, show them your boobies, and, you know, rub their head, you know, or rub their shoulders. They're quite content, you know, like, they're very simple. You don't have to do much to impress them, you know. So I'm the same way though. It's like, it's very simple to impress me. I'm not overly complicated. I don't need all this shit. You know, I just need a man to, you know, feed me, feed me, rub my back, you know, and cuddle with me, and I'm happy. So for me, it's like, I don't know. It seemed like Tess was just overly complicated. And it's like, girl, you are a fucking nightmare for this young man. You are a fucking nightmare. So yeah, I really think that when it came to him, he deserved better. He really did. He was such a sweetheart. He was so sweet to her. I think he deserved better, you know. So I'd say overall, I'm gonna give this book a 3. It was fine, but I'm not interested in reading like the next book in her series. Like, it's supposed to be like between Poppy St. James, I think that's the character, and she was getting fucked like at the Halloween party with the 2 hockey players, one behind her and one in front of her, and I'm just like, girl, oh no, I don't want to do another White Shoes, you know, book. No. Like I said, when it comes to White Shoes, it has to be done right, you know, by the right author. Some authors do it well, and some authors just don't do it well. This is why I could not continue with Pucking Around. I just was like, this is not done right. It's not done good. It's just, and also, can I say, the character of Jake, right? In the first book, like no novella, I actually didn't mind Jake. And then when it got to like the actual book, Pucking Around, it just seemed like he kind of got dumber. And then in this one, at the beginning, toward the beginning, he got even dumber. It kind of reminded me of the show Friends. Like, the first season of Friends, Joey Tribbiani was not as dumb as he was during the last season. During the last season, he was borderline special needs, you know? So I kind of felt like that when it came to these book series so far. They've made Jake like stupider, like dumber and dumber. Like, Emily Rath had created a dumber character for Jake, and I felt like it was like Joey Tribbiani, where I'm like, Jake in the novella was not stupid, and then in the Pucking Around, they kind of made him a little more immature. I was like, okay. And then in this one, it was like he was just borderline special needs, where I'm like, why did the author do that? You know, like, I got a little bit more understanding of Imari, and I actually liked Imari, and then I liked Caleb. I could not stand like Jake in this book here, you know, like they were toward the beginning and stuff like that. I could not stand him. I was like, he's so fucking dumb. I'm like, why did the heroine make him so, you know, why did the author make him so stupid? You know, that's how I felt. I felt like, my God, this is like Friends, where they're making Joey even dumber. You know, it's the same thing. You know, like she's making Jake even dumber than what he is. You know, where he's like, he like doesn't understand like polyamory that much, and it's like, motherfucker, why are you in a polyamorous fucking marriage if you don't quite understand what's going on? What the fuck? I'm like, seriously? Why? You don't go into that shit fucking half-cocked, you know? And there's a lot of polyamorous relationships that don't work out. Because what happens? Jealousy. It's usually jealousy. Someone is getting more attention than the other one, and they get jealous. Polyamorous relationships don't work out. For the most part, they do not. So I just really just didn't see a happily ever after with the couples from pugging around. Like, I just don't. Eventually, she's going to settle on one guy. So yeah. And especially because she married Ilmari. She married him. She didn't marry Caleb. She didn't marry Jake, you know? I could see Jake and Caleb being more of a couple, you know, a gay couple, because they were best friends for years. And then Ilmari and Rachel being more of a couple, you know? So yeah. Yeah, I will say, like, I don't want to read any more from this author. No offense to her, but I think she appeals to, I think she does appeal to younger people, younger audiences, and I just don't fit that demographic, you know. So no more books from this author, and I definitely am going into a more book buying ban for Barnes and Noble. The only thing I'm gonna pick up from Barnes and Noble, if I do pick up anything, it's going to mainly just be books from authors that I already know and I've read, you know. I either read it and I want a physical copy of it, or I've read the author in the past and, you know, pick up something new from the author that I read. So that's pretty much what I'm going to be doing. But yeah, this was mainly an experiment. I just wanted to see, you know, what was the main reason why this author was so popular. And it's because of, you know, basically these books being corn, you know. It is, you know, high sex, high spice, you know, like I said before, no plot, all vibes. I'm just not into that type of thing. So, but I'll say, like, out of all the men in the series, I didn't mind Imari. You know, Ilmari. I didn't mind him. And then I like Ryan. Ryan's a cinnamon roll. Ryan's a sweetheart. So I really like him. But yeah, all the rest of them, nah, not interested. Not interested in reading the rest of them. I'm just like, nah, I'm good. I am good. Someone just can give me the cliff notes of, you know, the other books if they want to, because I don't care, you know. So yeah, I'm glad to be done with that audiobook. So I would say, like, if anybody has any hockey romances that they've read that they really enjoy, that is better than Emily Rath's, you know, like better, less sex, please, and, you know, more plot. I would prefer that. I have read the Puck series by Helena Hunting, so I have read those. Was he a hockey player or was he football? No, was he hockey? I think he was hockey. Yeah, I read the L. Kennedy the Deal series. I can't remember, Off Campus. I read the Off Campus series, so I mean, you don't have to recommend me that. Read that one years ago. But yeah, if there's any other hockey romances out there that are good hockey romances, let me know. I do like hockey, but yeah, something more than that. Sorry, I need to take a nap. It's my nap time. But yeah, that's it for this video here. Let me know, did you read these books? Did you really enjoy them? You know, what was it that you enjoyed with these books? And if you didn't like them, you know, tell me, you know, down below what reason you didn't like them and go from there. But yeah, that's it for this video here. Have yourselves a good day. Take care of yourselves. Be kind to each other. And I'll see you all on the next video. All right. Bye.